Well, we are very happy to have Her Excellency Mathilde Mukantabana, Professor and Ambassador Extraordinary and now this is the word that's going to catch me, the Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Rwanda to the United States of America and non-resident ambassador to Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. The ambassador has been in her position since 2013. Before then, she was a tenured professor of history at Cosumnes River College in Sacramento, California. Okay. And she's also has been the president of Friends of Rwanda Association, or FORA, a nonprofit American relief association created to expand the circle of Friends of Rwanda and to support survivors of the 1994 genocide. And she was the co-founder of that as well. Her journey to these roles has been marked by struggle, hardship, and a lot of hard work. And so she was born in Butare, Rwanda, and is a member of the Tutsi ethnic group. Her father was a primary school principal and owned a coffee plantation. But others were forced to leave, she and others were forced to leave school in Rwanda in 1973 because of the troubles there, the conflicts there. And she went to Burundi to finish high school and then earned her bachelor's degree in history and geography from the University of Burundi. After that, she came to the United States to continue her education. That was in 1980. She went to Sacramento State University, where she earned a master's. And she also married her husband, a fellow Rwandan activist and professor, the late Alexandre Kimenyi, and they have 3 children. Mukantabana went on to earn another master's degree in social work, and this was partly because she wanted to go back and build her country. And she has a lot of a great commitment to her people, which is really inspiring, and I'm sure is one reason why she's an ambassador. She began teaching history in Sacramento in 1994, and it was that year that the Rwandan Genocide happened. And so the same week she was hired by the college, she learned that those who were killed included both of her parents, 3 sisters, 2 brothers, 6 aunts, 4 uncles, and all of her nieces and nephews. But instead of having that, I'm sure that grief was heavy and very poignant. Instead of having that define her, in response, in 1999, she put her social work degree to use, starting a program in social work at the National University of Rwanda. And it's been a very successful program that has been important to her country. Many of those trained in the program work for local governments, non-governmental organizations, and still help survivors with the trauma of the genocide. And in 2013, Mukantabana was an executive producer of the Rwandan Night, which is a documentary about the genocide told from the perspective of 7 viewpoints. So I think this is a very important documentary here. She's been very passionate about community organizing for several years. I could go on, but I want to give her more time. She's an active board member on a number of organizations, and she's had awards about peace and conflict. And so without further ado, let me turn the time over to Ambassador Mukantabana.
Good afternoon. Usually my voice is not like this, so don't think I have, I have not a cold, but a flu, allergies. But it's, thank you so much, Professor Leslie Hadfield, and thank you, Mr. Stan Benfield. Thank you for all the people who have made my journey here in Salt Lake City, and then Provo and Brigham Young, an amazing experience. So we are here with Seti from the Embassy of Rwanda, and it has been a pleasure to come and to be hosted the way you have hosted us, and I hope, before I even begin, I hope that we'll be able to host you in Rwanda, but also at the Embassy of Rwanda in Washington, D.C., if you happen to come. So it's always a pleasure for me to speak with the students. We've had a chance, and the introduction about my life and my journey is a journey that was shared by many Rwandans. So it's not just me, but I can tell you also that the main reason to be standing here and to be able to fulfill my obligations. It's because of friendships and partnerships that we're able to build through the years, especially with the people here in the United States, and more specifically for myself in the United States and the people who helped us to put ourselves up and be able to create organizations that came as the surrogate for families that we lost in 1994. One of the things I can tell you is that I started with Rwanda. Rwanda is an amazing country. I have to start by saying that when I came to Utah, I was doubly happy because I could see the hills. You know, they call Rwanda the country of 1,000 hills. It's the most beautiful countries. It was in the minds of many people. We have even a movie called King Solomon's Mines. They believe that King Solomon mines were in Rwanda because of the beauty. And there is a movie in Hollywood if you want to see it. But it's a beautiful country, very small in size, landlocked, not much resources if you think about resources, but we've come out to really say that resources is not so much about the productions, it's about people. Because we have been able to develop even without the traditional resources that people talk about. So Rwanda is, for people who know the sizes of states in the United States, it's the size of Maryland, very small. And we call ourselves landlocked, but now we call ourselves land-linked. Because in our size, we were able to expand to in our neighborhoods. We are part of East African community. We are part of the Central African countries. But also we are a very strong Pan-African state. We are in the forefront in creating a covenant so Africa is united. So we are very blessed that way. I wouldn't talk really about Rwanda today at the 26 without thinking about where we came from, because country-wise, you can't talk about, there was a time, we were a state and we survived as a geographical entity. But 1994 brought us to a standstill. We almost died. And when we say we died, you are thinking about a country where 1 million people die within 3 months. And the 1 million people, we were talking about my family, but there are people completely devastated with no one surviving. But not only that, there were also many people implicated in that killing. This was not a tsunami, it was not an earthquake. It was by other people who came and killed their neighbors. So the death was not about any human death, it was also about the spirit of the people. You started by praying, but you can imagine when you know the person who has come and killed you. Sometimes they were friends. The people who killed my parents, I know them, and we grew up together. He eventually came to acknowledge whatever he has done, but he was someone my father paid schooling for because he was his godson. And yet he was not afraid of killing. It came to a point when sometimes you go and ask yourself how it was possible. And I'm not going to talk about genocide for a long time. Just want to tell you that everything you can, whether it's infrastructure, institutions, and when I talk about institutions, it's from the big institution to the small institution. We are talking about the state. People no longer trusted their state because the state was not protective of the people. The people didn't trust even their church. More than 80% of the people were Christians. The majority were Catholic. And the majority of the people who died in Rwanda died in Catholic churches. Those became the burial ground. Even the family. Sometimes when we talk about Rwanda and who did what, we believe that it was so like we versus them, people who live in different neighborhoods. Sometimes there were families, even among families, because we were on a patrilineal society. You can find the people from the family of the father who killed the family of the mother. So as you can see after genocide, when we lost all these people, and when we talk about 1 million people, these are people, human beings. Some were students like you, they were professors, they were doctors, and also the participation was not by demography. We are not saying it was just the poorest people killing other people. Also the top killed people. So we are talking about people where the whole society was complicit in what happened in our country. And you can imagine the level of, and we used, or they used whatever, those very basic type of weapons that when you think about it, it's, people were buying their own, they were giving money for people to shoot them. If you had money, you said, please shoot me instead of killing me with this, because the majority were killed by the machetes. It went on for 3 months, and on, we had also by, upstanders, people who were able to save other people, and that's what kept our societies, or at least the beginning of healing, as we were talking about liberation. Genocide didn't end because an external force came and stopped it. As a matter of fact, if you look at what we call the international community, they pretty much stood by until it was over 3 months later. And the Rwandans themselves stopped it. It was not an easy time. In the beginning, this was one of the celebration of the end of genocide that came after 3 months. We celebrate on July 4th, just like we always celebrate the day United States also had their own independence. So July 4th is the day of the liberation that came 3 months after. And the arduous journey of building peace started. It's not an easy one. And this is maybe where I'm going to put a little bit more energy. You are coming from a place that is completely broken, in a sense that there was lack of trust. The people are suffering, there's no infrastructure, people are poor, people are dying from hunger. The ones who didn't die from whatever was happening also, they are in disarray, they are leaving the country. Some of them are trying to find safe haven in neighboring countries like Congo and many different places. So in the aftermath of the genocide, the country was able to revive because the people who had stopped the genocide also put a vision out there. That was not an easy one. We started with the emergency program. Emergency programs were like that association we were talking about, but on a general perspective where you say we needed to find children who are unattended for, we needed to feed the people who are starving, we need to, especially to ensure that people can trust that you won't wake up thinking that you'll die tomorrow. And to bring back the trust, you have to really go the extra mile of trying to do it. So building peace took a long time, and we had many prerequisites of trying to build peace. One was justice. One of the prerequisites was that justice. There were 3 types of justice in Rwanda, and I'll go briefly on this so we can at least have a basic of understanding. One was the international justice that was by the UN, United Nations. That was supposed to try the ones who had, commissioned the genocide, the ones who are the mastermind of genocide. And the court was in Tanzania. They put it in Arusha, Tanzania. The second one was the traditional justice, the one, or regular justice, we might call like justice here, but we didn't have infrastructure. There were no judges, no attorneys, and you are thinking about trying maybe 2 million cases for a country like Rwanda. They had said even to look at all the cases, it was going to take at least 100 years if we had followed whatever perspective was in the country. The third one that was revived, and that really did most of the trying and allow us to move forward, was what is known as gacaca. Gacaca is a traditional justice that was revived for the sake of judging the cases. And this was, to you selected the judges among your peers. the people with integrity. Then people come and they are witnesses of what happened and they render judgment. But that was a training before, and I know many institutions in the U.S. also were part of that in terms of training the judges and how it was going to be. But the end goal of Gacaca was not punitive. It was mostly for restoration, where people could actually come and the ones who can accept whatever they have done can move forward. So they had different categories, of course, but what was intended was restorative justice, where you can bring people together, reconciliation, and so on and so forth. And we closed the Gacaca courts several years ago, but almost 2 million cases were tried. You can go to Rwanda if you want to research, especially in academic institution. You have all those piles. You can go and look for the name of my parents, and you can put the case, you know, who have killed them, the type of judgment that was done, what happened. That has brought people to move forward because it was the cement for our reconciliation. Because at the beginning we were thinking that, number one, wherever we we'll go together. We don't have a choice. We are not going to split our country. So the Board of Reconciliation, the Commission for Reconciliation was created to just try to achieve that. And we started by saying, as we embark on this journey, we have to go as one people. We are not looking at them, we versus them, you know, victims and perpetrators and so on and so forth. We needed to confront our history, look at it, and then eventually we have to pull the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to mold a society. But it takes a teaching, and it has to be multidimensional. It's not just the political thing, it's also within the church. Because even the church, I have to tell you, it had to reconcile itself with the Rwandan society. I don't want to stay for a long time on what we do together, but in the country building, among the staff was to look at all the institutions. How do we begin? How do we even begin? So, for instance, I can tell you that within the church, until recently, even the Catholic Church was able to come up with a formula on how they can look at reconciliation because of what happened within the church. 2 years ago, my President Kagame and his wife went to see the Pope for the first time, invited so the Catholic Church can see how they didn't seize the opportunity to push the spiritual side during genocide. Because during this time, as I said, already the institution failed. Even if one bishop had written a letter saying, what you are doing, my children, is sinning. Quite a few people could have considered it because we were that strong believer. But what happened instead, some of the priests also were involved in what happened in our country. So what I'm saying, all the reconciliation took place in a variety of ways. And I can say that some of what we call homegrown solutions have helped Rwanda to go from one place to another, to a bad place to another. Whenever they talk about our country, they talk about a country that is clean. It's not because of aid or anything coming outside, it's because the people work together. They work together to beautify the neighborhood. We have what we call homegrown solutions that bring people together and reconciliation occur naturally. One of the examples maybe I can give what they call Muganda, the system of Muganda. Every last Saturday of the month, everyone, including the president, they stop what they were doing and they go and work based upon the needs of different geographies. Then they say we are going to develop this region together, everyone. And what it has brought in terms of bringing people together, number one, you really see the tangible effects of working together. You don't need to say we are reconciling, no. But it brings our people together, and you see how it can bring the country together. In nation building, one of the cornerstone is education. And this is why, for me being here, especially in an academic institution, that is highly acclaimed in the world, gives us an opportunity to even talk about those partnerships that have helped our country to be among the countries that are educationally advanced in Africa. We can talk about that. It took a strong partnership. Where we were failing or we didn't have enough capacity, we brought capacities, we brought value-added programs to the country, but also we send our young people. I don't even know, are there any Rwandan students here? Or African? I see them here. Yeah? Wonderful. Where are you from? South Sudan. It's even more meaningful. For instance, I know what your country also went through, but that's another thing that Rwanda as a country has done, is that we try to see how we can work, because among the peacekeeping, Rwanda is among the nations that do peacekeeping in high numbers, and South Sudan has been one of the area where I think even our last people were given awards because of what they do, because we don't just go for peacekeeping. We also help in peace building. And in a sense, we have been exchanging ideas on how you do it from conflict, post-conflict countries, and what it can bring to the countries. So education has been the cornerstone of our development. Whether it's vocational education, whether it's in technology. Obviously, we're in the 21st century, and most countries, the developed countries, studied from somewhere. From us, not only is it post-colonial, but also it's post-genocide. It means that what we have done in terms of development has been also sometimes to leapfrog. We leapfrogged into technology. We are among the first countries to use drones to deliver blood. And I'm sending this because among people from Utah, there were people from Utah who were in Rwanda recently, and Nicole was there. She's wearing the nice traditional dresses there. And just our country, we talk about the value of our leadership, because without good leadership, we wouldn't have done what we have done. But also incredible partnerships, incredible friendships that were able to be there and to pull us, but also to be able to say, we are there and you are going to go every step of the way. And this is, oops, it's gone.
This is the video.
Ah, okay. So it's a brief one. I just wanted to show you that quick video, and then we...
My name is Amy Pulaski, and I am from Green Bay, Wisconsin, in the United States of America. I'm here with a delegation led by Immaculée Ilibagiza, the Rwandan Genocide survivor and best-selling author. And these are friends of hers from around the world. We represent how many states, ladies?
9 states.
9 states, and also Mexico and 3 countries, yes, 3 countries. And it was an honor to be here today at the National Prayer Breakfast in Rwanda, in this beautiful Kigali Convention Center. And the remarks by Her Excellency, Madame Jeannette Kagame, were outstanding. And it was absolutely beautiful to see so many people from so many countries coming here to pray with and for Rwanda. Oh, it's an inspiration for leaders around the world. There were so many people from many countries who were here praying for Rwanda and with Rwanda because of the example that they set for the world. It's really meaningful. Rwanda is a shining star. It is a light for the rest of the world. I started coming here in 2008, and the progress just is absolutely phenomenal. It is absolutely a beacon of hope and light for the world. The rest of the world can learn so much from people here. The message that I took home from the remarks that I heard today were that leadership needs the Lord. Jesus, if leaders follow the Lord, and if they do right, then the rest of the world, that will spread around to them. Also, that there is hope in forgiveness and peace, and no matter how dark the days look, that brighter days are ahead. As Her Excellency said in 1994, Rwanda was dismissed as a failed state, and here it is today, not only a light for Africa, but a light for the rest of the world.
My name is Nicole Sterling, and I come from Utah, one of the states in the United States. And it's a blessing and a privilege to be here. I've come here now 5 times in the last year and a half, and I feel like this is my home. The Rwandan people exude such love, and they make me feel so welcome. And I'm grateful to be here with my friends from the United States and from several different countries to come and feel of your goodness and to be here and worship with you at this prayer breakfast. One of the things, as I travel throughout Africa, I always talk to my friends in Ethiopia and all over about the virtues of Rwanda and how if they could just come and see how clean the streets are, how the people get together and work together and love together, they could achieve what Rwanda has achieved. Again, a shining beacon. And our friend.
Okay. Thank you. I think couldn't have said it better than the people who come to Rwanda. So, but I just wanted to show you that there are people who just came recently, but who have been always with us. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's those friendships to come and help us to be the best we can ever be, because we borrow from each other and we exchange and we, as a country, it's also very exciting. It's a country for the future. It's a country of hope. It's a country where everyone can find themselves, meaning that even if you, as students here or other people, if you want to go and do your career in Rwanda, you are very much welcome anytime. And especially, even if you don't go physically all the time, but the partnerships are immense. We've, just to show you, we have started to really navigate the high skies. As I said, before we were landlocked, but we try to break the barriers. Anyone who is trying to go to Rwanda doesn't need a visa. It's the first country to open the country for visa-free for all the Africans, and that has paid huge dividends. We rely much on service. We readied our infrastructure so people can come and be able to do business wherever they want to do business. As you heard, we can sit here and open any school in Rwanda. They'll be participating because we have a good network service, including in villages. So what I'm saying is we are ready and willing to do business with you. We are so much into sports. I don't know if any of you have studied the value of sports and peace building. Sports are very important in terms of bringing people together. We're very much doing very well in terms of bicycling. As a matter of fact, our groups have been coming to United States. They were in Colorado, they were in Los Angeles, and they are doing very well. You might hear about the Tour of Rwanda, like Tour de France, in a few years. And we are training with the best. We have enough good hotels, including the Marriotts. We are communicating and getting our people ready. What we have, Rwanda is open not just to Rwanda, but also to the world. This June, we are hosting the whole Commonwealth countries. They are coming to Rwanda, but also we've hosted the World Economic Forum. We've done the Transform Africa. But more importantly, maybe you'll come for our tourism. Our tourism is well developed because we do conservation. You've heard about gorillas, the mountain gorillas. They have been, it's an incredible population. When you go there, it's like you are going to visit neighbors. It's quite interesting. And those are well developed for people to be able to go and enjoy the last remaining gorillas and their lives. We're lucky to be given an expansion of the campus of Diane Fossey. You've heard about Diane Fossey, an American who protected the mountain gorillas for a long time until she was killed by the people who wanted whatever to do. So now the talk show host, Ellen DeGeneres, has expanded the campus so people can actually go and study in Rwanda the gorillas and do many different things. And she has made it her charity of choice. So this is one of the meetings that was in Rwanda. African Continental Free Trade was signed in Rwanda. That's what I was saying, that the boundaries are opening, and I think since they opened the African Continental Free Trade, we've seen also the trade, intra-African trade going up. And that's what we are hoping to do, that when you come and open a business in Rwanda or you teach in Rwanda, you also can teach it to the whole African continent. As a matter of fact, they just opened a school, a medical school affiliated to Romarinda School. Now all the students from Africa are coming to take their classes there. You know, Carnegie Mellon is open, even though it's in Rwanda, but it's also open to all the African students. But also it allows American students who want to have like a study abroad to go there and have the same education in Africa. So these are things that are a big thing that can also encourage you, if you really want to come to Rwanda or to Africa in general, to consider. It's an amazing place. But I know also many from Utah go there and from this particular university. So this was African, this was AU, African Union. This was the American Institute. That was with the Pope when I was talking about even within the church. To be able to say, yeah, we made a mistake even within the church. That opened the door for, now the Catholic Church is thriving in Rwanda because of that simple gesture. So any kind of reconciliation, whenever institution we are talking about, is much to be praised. Even with President Trump, with the World Economic Forum. So this is, we have what they call just something interesting when you go to visit Rwanda, and I finish with this thing. We have days we call carry-free days. Carry-free days, it encourages people to do sports. That's when they also can check on if they have hepatitis C, if they have any kind of disease, free testing. But also they do exercises, and it has encouraged people to start living a healthy life. Because one of the things we are facing now as a nation in health is that as we develop, we also started to have non-communicable diseases like diabetes, all those stuff. So we have started also a campaign for education where people are doing many things with the students, the children, but also the whole population of Rwanda. I encourage, I have never done it because I'm afraid of height, but this is the most, so if you like to ski, you should be able to go there. People say it's the most amazing experience. These are forests, Tonyungu forests that are well preserved, but you have a canopy where you can actually go from tree to trees and go from one mountain to another by using the canopy. So when you come, you'll see many things. This is one of the most beautiful islands. This is where I used to, my school was here before we were kicked out of Rwanda, the most beautiful place by the Lake Kivu. I encourage you when you come to really take that. In Rwanda, you can drive north-south, east-west. If you are a good driver, you'll drive one day. You can visit the country, the whole country, if you want to do that. So I encourage you to come, and you are welcome to Rwanda, and it was a privilege and really a joy to be here this afternoon. If you have any question, I can answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We're very grateful for the ambassador's presence here. She has a very tight schedule. We do have time for probably 2 or 3 questions, though, so please come up to the microphone to ask your question. Tell the ambassador a little bit about yourself, your name, where you're from, what you're studying, and ask your question. We're going to have to finish in about 5 minutes, so please.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your wonderful presentation. That was so beautiful for all of us to experience. I've long looked up to Rwanda, your beautiful country, and even more so now after hearing what you had to say. My name is Courtney. I'm a sociology major, and I also, too, want to go into peace building, peace and conflict studies, those sorts of programs. I actually was your neighbor this summer. I was living in Uganda, so wow. I wanted to get over to your country, but didn't have a chance, so I hope one day. My question for you is, after seeing such beautiful examples that happened in your own country about reconciliation and coming together, bringing groups together, the United States has had a long history fraught with, I guess, we have lots of places that we need to reconcile as well still in our country. And so I'm wondering what advice you could give to us as members in the society of how we can build better inclusatory, like, societies that come together better, if that makes sense.
No.
Advice that you can give to us that we can help in our society be more inclusive to people of all different sorts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'll be very brief. I didn't know I talked too much. I wanted them to ask questions, but one thing, there's no formula. One thing is, first of all, to pay attention to anything that make the other people them. Once you start putting people in categories like they are different from you because of their color, because of their whatever they do, then that's the beginning of anything. You know, in Rwanda, even though we talk about 94, it had been going on for a long time. Demonization. The group that was killed, my group, the Tutsi, were known as cockroaches. Because they were seen as people you wouldn't, you know, you demonize people, you start looking at them as not really the same people. You treat them differently. That's the beginning of anything. It's horrible. And I think that also people, individual can change. You know, like if I start here, you know, I was looking at the philosophy driving this school. It's an amazing thing. You know, even take advantage as students. Students have to be engaged again, like what they did during civil rights movement. Even though we talk about major figures in civil rights, but if there was no action by students who engage themselves against any kind of division or polarization of any kind, we wouldn't have had any civil rights movement. And this was a mixture of all races. When you see this is evil, we need to stop it in your neighborhood. Speak up. Because even one voice, I don't think it can be buried, seriously. I really believe that each and everyone, when we talk about international community, we are lying to ourselves. Who are the international community? It's all of us. You know, so if you don't speak, why do you think someone at the UN who is coming for a job is the one who is going to speak for you? I think we need to put them and what needs to be talked about and the importance of human beings and whatever in their face, you know. I've heard many young children, 14, 15 years old now, who are getting Nobel Peace Prize because of action they took. Very young. In Kenya, in Afghanistan. And these are people who change the outcome for their countries. And that's the only thing I can say, just because it takes a long time. And then to get people of goodwill who have done it, even when you start and you are kind of unsure, you'll find somebody who is knowledgeable in organizing, somebody who is knowledgeable. You know, when we started my association, it was because of people in California who had done organizing before, and they were able to help. But it's the intention first. You start with intention. I needed to stop this, and then you go for tools to do so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, man.
Right, just one more question.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much for your remarks. I'm Deanna. I'm studying international relations and global women's studies here at BYU. And so I've long looked up to Rwanda and the peace that they've managed to build, that you have brought to your country. And I also know that you have the highest amount of female legislators in your country, like percentage-wise in the world. And so I was wondering if does this fact that you have so many women who make laws in your country change how the government handles issues and approaches compromises?
Quickly now, so women, it went on the philosophy and the abiding principle that all people of Rwanda matter. It's about equipping every single element of Rwandan society. And to know that without involvement of women, we were losing the best brains and whatever. But not only that, what you're saying, also women were able to perform even under the worst of circumstances. They kept their families together. They brought in kids who didn't have families. They did all those stuff. So they are doing, women bring other things on the agenda. And I'm not, it will be a wrong stuff. But I'm saying that usually a woman, in general, when you look at your family, you look at your country. When you think about your family, you think about your country, you think about peace, you think about many different things. So what they are bringing has impacted the way people perceive women, but also it has broadened their scope of influence and their level of influence. They've changed the laws of inheritance. They've changed the laws in parliament because we are the majority in parliament. They've changed many different things and the way they do business. So I would say yes, they have helped. Yeah. Can I have one last quick one of the young woman who came? She stood up. Yeah, quick one. Yeah, please. Yeah. She came, so I just will make it like 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was kind of related to the question you just answered. My name's Marin, by the way. I study global women's studies and psychology. I was just wondering how you've seen the gendered structures in your country change since the increased focus on conflict resolution since the genocide.
Thank you so much. And I think it has changed tremendously because even just the ratio, the gender ratio was upturned by genocide. There were more women who were left. So the boards for reconciliation in villages, the structure, because we are decentralized, you see many women. And women in every part. So the inclusion of women on the police force, in peacekeeping, this has really shown, because when they go, like one case, when they go to South Sudan, this is something you can do research on. They don't just go and keep the peace. They are women and they know the precarious situation of women in conflict. So they know that rape is used. Even if fetching water, they make sure they provide for that and they build things so that those women don't become the casualty of their gender, because of what is happening. So they change many things in every sector of our lives, once they are included in the power structure. In our economy, our cabinet is half-half, men, women. Our CEO for tourism is a woman. The one for economic development is a woman. Many ministries of health, agriculture, those are big ministries. We are talking about really where you see women shaping the lives, whether it's economic, socio-political of Rwanda. So that has shifted the power in many different ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.